Concessions to adversaries only end in self-reproach, and the more strictly they are avoided, the greater will be the chance of security. Tell me, how many times have you heard this one before? Can you let me hit you for one? I just want to trigger X. Or how about its cousin statements? Will you let me hit you with my smallest creature? If not, I'm going to kill your thing and hit you anyways. Or how about, let me hit you for one, or else I'll hit you for a lot more. When I first got into playing Commander, I would always agree to these types of deals. After all, it's just one life point, that's perfectly fine, and I don't lose my thing. Maybe they won't attack me with something bigger later. I also see a lot of people accepting this treatment frequently. They accept taking the damage, and let the player who did it do whatever they wanted. It's certainly something that comes out of Commander being such a political game. A natural part of it. Alliances, friendships, getting along, right? But, my friends, you are all being deceived. See, these deals are a lot more one-sided than you may realize, and not just against the person being hit. This deal disadvantages all three people that aren't the person offering this deal. Along similar lines, how many times have you attacked someone only to hear them say, "Are you sure?" Have you backed down in fear of a removal spell and attacked someone else? Or do you accept it and go for it? Mortals, immortals, and friends from the blind eternities, lend me your ears or equivalent appendages. My name is Samson Loreseeker, and today I will be talking to you about the importance of making it happen, making them have it, and never giving in. The "let me hit you" deal has got to be one of the weirdest deals I see happen the most frequently. There are three main circumstances where this occurs, and it varies in severity. The first and least egregious circumstance is the monarchy. Someone introduces the monarchy to a game, and then everybody asks if they can hit for one with their smallest creature to get the monarchy on their turn and get a card. This is, in my opinion, the least problematic of the times this deal crops up. Everyone gets the same benefit from it, so everyone is alright with passing it along. It, at the very least, is alright. And these deals are usually followed with the statement, "I'll let you take it back." Equivalent exchange is acceptable. However, if you're not included in this deal, it certainly can feel like collusion. The next one is significantly more unbalanced, and that is the initiative. While it can still be traded back and forth and everybody would get the same things, by its very nature, one wants to hold on to it and not let anyone else have it. And beyond that, unlike the monarchy, the initiative will put a critical mass at a certain point, sometimes even after the second trigger, putting two counters on a blocker to make sure that they can defend from others trying to take the initiative back. And once one person is able to maintain control over the initiative, well, the throne of the dead three is one heck of a possible finisher. It doesn't guarantee that the game will end, but it does a mighty fine job of tilting the scales in that person's favor. Lastly, there is when they have an effect that only affects them and they want to trigger it. Drawing cards off of things like Toski or Coastal Piracy, or getting treasures off of Professional Facebreaker or Malcolm. Raid triggers, Bloodthirst triggers, attack triggers. Maybe it's even just gaining some life for a card like Archangel of Thune or Ocelot Pride. Whatever the reason they're attacking you, you will not be getting the same benefit by attacking them back. As a result, there will be less equal deals of "I hit you, you hit me" going on with these types of effects, as they are under no obligation to let you hit them back. This is where my motto comes in. Make them work for it. For the purposes of discussion, we will be operating under the assumption that we are following the third category, where it is an unbalanced trigger. Let us take a look at each of the deals I stated at the beginning, starting with, "I just want to trigger X." Why would you let this deal happen? Why would you let yourself take damage so that your opponent could draw a card, or get an extra mana, or whatever they're doing? You get absolutely no benefit from this trade, and in fact it actually literally hurt you to take it. The only time I can see this being alright is if someone is trying to dig for an answer for a bigger threat at the table. But outside of that one specific example, why would you let your opponent get an advantage at your expense, especially if there is no downside to you saying no? So now, the second offer. It's not an offer, it's a threat, aimed to get you to comply. It was never a deal in the first place. Saying that you should let them hit you for a small amount, or they'll kill your thing and hit you anyways, is one of the most bold-faced threats you can receive. Let's take a look at this from the perspective of an actual trade. What are you getting, and what are they getting? Should you take the deal, you lose some life and temporarily keep your thing. And on the opponent's side, they lose their weakest blocker, but in exchange keep their strongest blockers, keep the removal spell, and gain whatever advantage they were swinging for anyways. If you don't take the deal, what happens? You lose a creature and some life, and as for your opponent, they lose the kill spell and at least one blocker, keeping the other blockers and getting the bonus they attacked for. On paper, it seems like you should take the deal, as it saves you from losing the creature, right? Well, you have to consider that creature. If you took the deal and that person got to keep their removal spell, and the creature's a good one, the instant you try to pop off with that creature, they will kill it with the spell that they saved. At that point, what was the point in saving your creature? On the other hand, say it's not a creature that's vital to your success. Then why would you care about saving it in the first place? If anything, it's better this way because then you make them have one less removal spell to use on an actual threat later on. Of course, there are also other considerations, such as the type of the removal, your deck's recursion capacity, all that good stuff. But in general, I find that it's best not to back down in the face of that particular threat. There's also the political side of that maneuver. By backing down to threats, you make yourself the most likely target of future attacks too, since clearly you're not going to want to lose your thing. However, by forcing that opponent to use their removal, the remaining two players at the table may be more willing to do their own plays, knowing that a kill spell is no longer in play. This makes it less likely that one player will run away with the game, as many players will instinctively play more passively if they know that a removal spell is at the table. Commander players are amusingly protective of their little creatures. With the threat of a kill spell, one player can be that much more uncontested when developing their board. Finally, let's talk that third deal. Let me hit you for one, or I'll hit you for more. Once again, this is a threat, not a deal. You realistically have no say in the matter. Let us once again pull up the deal calculator. You lose one life, your opponent loses their smallest blocker and gets to keep their biggest blockers, and gets whatever bonus they attacked for. Meanwhile, if you don't take the deal, you lose more life, but your opponent loses better blockers in exchange for getting what they attacked for. Again, on paper, it seems like you should take the deal, right? Losing one life is always better than losing, say, 4 or 7 life. But consider the advantage of your opponent losing their best blockers in favor of attacking you for more. Now, the other two players at the table can attack that player more safely, pressuring their life total for potentially even more than they reduced yours. All of these examples I have given have been from the perspective of you being helpless, but that won't always be the case. Sometimes you will have interaction. I hope your deck runs interaction. But if you have interaction, this becomes an opportunity to blow them wide open. Make them commit their biggest attacker, then remove it. Or remove the card that they would get the bonus from. Play a fog effect and save yourself the damage while leaving the opponent open to devastating crackback. Make them cast the removal spell, then counter it, or blink your creature or give it hexproof. Make them commit, then counterattack. Parry, then riposte. Maybe instead of interaction you've got a haste creature, or a bigger threat than the one they threatened to remove. There are many ways to turn the situation around, and a few more life points won't make that much of a difference. Life is a resource, as it is always said. And if you happen to be a bystander to one of these threats, make sure that the person being threatened does not back down. Having the target call the threat is a win-win for you, as you get both opponents to expend valuable resources at no cost to you whatsoever. These quote-unquote deals will only ever benefit the person offering them. When it is something like the initiative or the monarchy the two are fighting over, it's even more important that your opponent commits a better attacker to it, so that they don't have as good of a blocker to defend it from someone else taking it. The more resources your opponents have to expend to do something, the better it is for you. The next thing I have seen often said or asked is the ever-popular, "Are you sure about that?" and "Is that all of your attackers?" And boy, let me tell you, it is a powerful psychological tool, those questions. On more than one occasion I have said that line even without anything in hand or any way to back it up, and people have immediately reconsidered their attacks, sometimes leaving me out of it entirely. Yeah, it's a bluff, but bluffs are an integral part of an incomplete information game like Magic. You can't bluff in checkers because the entire board is visible and all information is available. but in a game of Magic there's a lot of hidden information, and so bluffs become a much bigger part of the game. This then makes it very important to call people's bluffs. Make them have the removal spell or the fog. If you choose not to attack someone after this question, you have given them a free fog. They were able to save themselves from being attacked without having to expend any resources at all. Magic is a game about resource management at its very core, and if you can get your opponent to expend resources when it doesn't matter a huge amount, then they won't have the resources when it does matter the most. And if they are merely bluffing, well, then they will take the full frontal assault from that bluff. Once more though, this is all from the perspective of you not having anything to do with it. If you also have some interaction, then it can be more important to call their bluff. Make them expend the resources, and then counter, or remove, or some other course of action available to you. These are duels between wizards after all. There must be some amount of back and forth between the players. Commit to the game plan, and make them have it. As always, Commander is a social game. Table talk is a vital part of it all, and ultimately you want the entire table to generally have a good time. This is part of what allows for deals and political moves to happen in a game like this. It will naturally come about when there are 4 players but only the possibility for 1 victor. Yes, everyone will jostle and jockey for the win, but it's always important to maintain that aspect of fun. By all means, you can wheel and deal all you'd like, and there isn't anything stopping you from using every psychological trick you can to win. Just remember to keep it somewhat relaxed, and don't ever back down from a threat. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, ring the ding, and all the usual YouTube things. I also want to take a moment and thank you all for all the support I've been receiving here. It's been very different making content, and I've been feeling more inspired and passionate than I have in a good while. So please keep an eye out for more videos coming soon, and until next time, take care of yourselves.